Coming up on Business Daily, Dangote Refinery begins full export to West African countries. Oil reserves plunge by 50 billion barrels as investments shrink. And South Africa inflation drops to lowest in over 4 years. Many thanks for joining us. You're watching Business Daily on LN 24/7. Welcome. We'll start off in the oil sector, where the Dangote Refinery has begun export of premium motor spirit and refined petroleum products to neighboring West African countries, a sign to traders that the mega refinery's operations could soon potentially shake up regional fuel markets. A report by quoting data sourced from Vertexa, Kepler, Precise Intelligence, a port report and ship tracking platform said that a tanker hauled a shipment of gasoline from the Dangote Petroleum Refinery to waters off the coast of Togo in West Africa. Recall that last month, the chairman of the Ghana National Petroleum Authority, Mustafa Abdul Hamid, said the country is considering buying petroleum products from the Dangote Refinery to help the country cut more expensive exports from Europe, which cost the country about $400 million monthly. The chairman of the NPA, Ghana, who spoke at the OTL Africa Downstream Oil Conference in Lagos, said importing from Nigeria rather than from Europe would reduce the prices of other goods and services by removing freight costs. And according to reports, 4 other African countries, which include Niger Republic, Chad, Burkina Faso, and Central African Republic, have also started negotiations with the refinery. And still in the oil sector, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission Authority says the country's oil reserves declined by 50 billion barrels over 14 years. According to the NUPRC, oil reserves shrank from 38 billion barrels to 37.50 billion barrels between 2008 and 2023. In a publication, the NUPRC blamed this on the tremendous decline of exploration activities due to a lack of investment by exploration and production companies. The NUPRC maintained that oil companies' lack of investment could be attributed to the delay in passing the Petroleum Industry Bill, among other factors like the COVID-19 pandemic. The publication also disclosed that exploration activities gradually picked up from the 4th quarter of 2021 following the passage of the PIA. However, the decline was said to have returned due to the ongoing divestment plans by international oil companies. Now, suggesting a way forward to revive the declining trend of exploration, the NUPRC boss also recommended that exploration companies should be encouraged to pursue aggressive exploration programs to grow reserves by being made to drill at least an exploratory well yearly. And the governor of Benue State, Hyacinthe Alia, has approved a minimum wage of 75,000 naira for workers in the state. Now, the governor disclosed this after a meeting with organized labor representatives in Makurdi. He also noted that the remaining 3 months of the 5-month backlog of arrears promised to the union will be paid as budgeted in the 2024 budget, along with a minimum wage with effect from November 2024. Reacting to the governor's approval on behalf of the Benue workers, the chairman of the NLC, Benue State Council, Comrade Terzunga Ube, appreciated the governor for approving 75,000 naira for the workers, stressing that the increments will make an improvement in the lives of the workers.
Not singing praises of you, Your Excellency, but we know that since you came on board, we have witnessed tremendous change in Benue State. As far as the civil service was concerned, before your emergence, we've had a series of problems in the state. But since you came, no civil servant in Benue State has received salaries beyond 23rd of every month. And as a result of this, it has placed us on a good foot that will be able to plan, even though the resources became very small because of the introduction of the removal of fuel subsidy. The workers of Benue State are proud of you because of your infrastructural development that you started in the state. When you came on board, you began with massive constructions of roads, streets, which are not just construction roads, but quality ones with quality drainages.
The moment the federal government made this pronouncement, I was one out of the 36 governors, the very first person to give my willingness, the state's willingness, to go with the swing of the new minimum wage. And I'm happy to announce that the new minimum wage of 75,000 naira is being approved. We know that you as civil servants had gone through so much. It was our intent even to cushion the effects of the hardships on workers. And so you may recall, we had said we would take care of 5 months of your arrears. I know we had taken care of 2 months, and 3 months are remaining. With this increase, what we intend to do is we would spread this into January. So each month you receive your salary, your arrears, and arrears of 1 month is accompanied. In the next 3 months. In fact, let's make it in the next 2 months. So we'll take care of the remaining 3 months arrears. And I think it would make a lot of common sense. Since I was even the first governor that, declared our intention to do this willingly, but is doing it kind of 1-2 months later. Your 75,000 minimum wage is beginning this month.
I'm so happy as the chairman of NSC and as the chairman of organized level, because this thing has been lingering for quite a long time, and not just only 75,000 naira. He has also signed the 30,000 naira adjustment or minimum wage that was on the ground. So I'm happy, and workers of Benue State are also happy. No matter how little the increase is, and no matter how bad the fuel subsidy is, we know that at least it will make a small improvement on the lives of the workers.
And now the Central Bank of Nigeria has raised the alarm over a growing trend of fraudulent foreign currency transfer claims, warning Nigerians to beware of falsified SWIFT documents being used to back up such allegations. Now, in a statement on Tuesday signed by its acting director of corporate communications, Hakama Sidi Ali, the central bank advised the public to remain vigilant and avoid falling victims to fraudulent schemes involving fake SWIFT messages. The Express Bank disclosed that it has received a wave of complaints from private entities, individuals, law firms, and government agencies claiming that foreign funds transferred to their accounts remain uncredited. Now, many of these complaints, the bank noted, came with fake SWIFT forms and acknowledgement copies that cannot be verified on the SWIFT network, indicating that the alleged transfers never took place. Clarifying its position, the central bank stressed that it does not provide correspondent banking services for Nigerian banks, nor hold accounts for private businesses. In the financial sector, Nigerians' appetite for secured investment has pushed the net asset value of mutual funds to 3.781 trillion naira in the first week of this month. Now, it went up by 89.5% from 1.995 trillion naira in the corresponding period of 2023. Analysts partly attributed the surge in the funds to the impact of steady markup in monetary policy rate, naira devaluation, among other factors. Data released by the Securities and Exchange Commission showed that the fixed income funds contributed significantly to boost the funds, as it accounted for 47.76% of the total net asset value. The inflow was followed by money market funds recording 1.524 trillion naira in the period under review and accounted for 40.31% of the total net asset value. Now, the inflow into mutual funds is particularly noteworthy as investors look for high-yielding, low-risk opportunities, gravitating towards fixed income, money market funds, bonds, and dollar-denominated instruments. You're still watching Business Daily, and South Africa just witnessed its first drop in annual inflation for the first time in 4 years. We'll find out more right after this break. Welcome back. You're still watching Business Daily. And as the festive season approaches, it is important to stay security conscious, and that is why stakeholders in Benue State commercial transportation sector have been urged to prioritize passenger safety and the security of commercial motor parks to ensure smooth and effective service delivery. The Benue State government organized a one-day sensitization workshop which brought together key industry players, including members of the Nigeria Union of Road Transport Workers, Benue State Commercial Motorcycle Association, the Association of Keke Drivers, the Federal Road Safety Corps, and the fire services, among others. This was aimed to restructure and strengthen the transportation sector by equipping stakeholders with the knowledge and tools to combat crime, particularly in motor parks, to prevent the use of parks as hubs for crimes.
The transporters, the regulators, and even the commuters to come together and have ease and when and where a vehicle is available. This is a work in progress because it requires a lot of stakeholder engagement, especially from the operators and their corporations. We are fast approaching the Yuletide season, and the traffic of commuters is likely to increase. The new location of motor parks are already an eyesore, and we can only but imagine what happens when the Yuletide traffic starts.
Equally aware of a whole lot of parks operating way beyond their operational licenses or permits, as the case may be. And we've been made to understand a whole lot of these mushroom parks are operating without such permits. But we want you all to understand we are all out for that common good. We are not out to antagonize anybody. We are ready for that, and we are committed to it.
In another development, the Managing Director of the Nigerian Port Authority, Abubakar Dansoho, has called for enhanced technological collaboration among African littoral states to accelerate transit cargo transportation, particularly in regions requiring multiple waterway transit. Now, speaking at the 44th Annual Council and 19th Roundtable of Director Generals of the Port Management Association of West and Central Africa, he emphasized the need for African countries to leverage their strengths to improve trade facilitation to landlocked nations. He also called for continued investments in international highways and rail routes that connect coastal and inland regions, ensuring efficient service delivery at lower costs to landlocked countries. He noted that Africa is home to 16 of the world's 44 landlocked countries, and he proposed initiatives such as the completion of key international highways, including the Niger, Lagos, Tema, and Abidjan routes, to facilitate better trade inflows. He also highlighted the importance of establishing multilateral agreements and strengthening partnerships between neighboring coastal countries to enhance regional trade. And in Africa, Kenya's Ministry of Finance revealed that the country will target a budget deficit of 3.8% of its GDP in the 2025-2026 financial year. Now, the East African country, due to rising annual debt service costs and flagging growth in government revenues. The government will set a borrowing ceiling of 759 billion shillings, which is about $5.88 billion US dollars in the next financial year. This is according to Musa Katanje, the director of the Macro and Fiscal Affairs Department at the ministry. The fiscal target for the next year will be lower than the 4.3% of its GDP in this financial year. And recall that the government was forced to raise the budget deficit for the year after deadly protests that forced President William Ruto to abandon his proposed tax hikes. Still in Africa, South Africa says the main reason for the drop in annual inflation from 3.8% in September to 2.8% was the decrease in fuel prices. Additionally, a slowdown in food inflation also played a significant role. October's reading is the lowest inflation has been since June 2020, when South Africans were subject to one of the harshest COVID lockdowns worldwide. Inflation has only been below 3% in a handful of months in the past 2 decades, and economists say fall and food price developments play a greater role in October, a month where there are typically fewer changes in the prices of other items. South Africa's government-regulated petrol and diesel prices fell by more than R1 a litre in October, and South Africa's central bank will announce its next interest rate decision by next Thursday. On the global scene, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Brazil's Finance Minister Fernando Haddad signed an agreement to launch the Global Clean Power Alliance, an initiative aimed at unlocking large-scale investments in clean energy. This initiative also plans to bring together leaders from several countries, including Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store and Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan, to ensure that no developing nation is left behind in the transition towards sustainable energy solutions.
So I'm pleased to launch the Global Clean Power Alliance, alongside Brazil, our partner in launching this first mission. This is about harnessing the political leadership needed to unlock investment on a huge scale, so that no developing country is left behind. Because emissions anywhere matter for climate change everywhere. But while clean energy investment is growing in the UK and in some others, it's flatlining in emerging and developing countries, despite being home to 2/3 of the world's population. These countries receive just 15% of global clean energy investments in recent years. So the finance mission will bring us together to change that. I want to congratulate President Lula for his leadership on climate finance through the G20 and looking ahead to Brazil's COP presidency next year. We will work closely with Brazil and all of our partners to deliver real progress.
All right, we'll go for another break, and when we return, we'll have more stories for you. So stay tuned. Welcome back. Nigeria has retained its position as the third largest debtor to the World Bank's International Development Association, with its exposure climbing to $17.1 billion as of September 30, 2024. Now, according to the World Bank's latest financial statements for the fiscal year up to September 2024, Nigeria's debt to the International Development Association rose by $600 million in 3 months from $16.5 billion recorded in June 2024. The figure reported for June 2024 recorded a 14.4% increase from $14.3 billion recorded in June 2023. Now, this fiscal year, which ran from July 2023 to June 2024, saw the country receiving an additional $2.2 billion in loans. Nigeria rose to the top 3 IDA borrowers in June 2024, moving from its previous 4th position in 2023, and has so far remained the 3rd largest debtor position, receiving a total of $2.8 billion from the World Bank's IDA during President Bola Tinubu's administration. Taiwan President Lai Ching-te has called on the European Union for an economic partnership agreement, saying it would boost cooperation in semiconductors and that as democracies, the two sides should be working together. Given its diplomatic isolation and general exclusion from most global bodies and agreements, Taiwan also pushed for signing investments and trade deals with the EU, which would be politically significant for the country. Despite lacking formal ties with the Chinese-claimed island, the European Union has been courting Taiwan as a like-minded partner under the European Chips Act to encourage more semiconductor productions in Europe and lessen dependence on Asia. Speaking at a Taiwan-EU investment forum in Taipei, the president noted that despite facing the threat of expanding authoritarianism, Taiwan and the EU must form a strong democratic umbrella and build secure supply chains for global democracies. Now, he also noted that such an agreement would set a sound institutional basis for further cooperation in the fields such as semiconductors and AI. And finally, Chinese President Xi Jinping has announced a raft of measures designed to support the Global South at a gathering of leaders of the G20 major economies in Brazil. In his first remark at the G20 summit, he said that China will support global developments with 8 actions, including building a high-quality Belt and Road Initiative, the signature foreign policy plan that directs large Chinese investments to infrastructure projects in the developing world. The president also announced that China, with Brazil, South Africa, and the African Union were launching an open science international cooperation initiative designed to funnel scientific and technological innovations to the Global South. And according to the UN Union Trade and Development, the Global South broadly comprises of Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, Asia, which excludes Israel, Japan, and South Korea, and the Oceania, which also excludes Australia and New Zealand. And that's where we draw the curtains today on Business Daily. Thank you for being a company. Don't forget you can always join the conversations via social media handles and visit our content hub at www.ln247.news for further business news. I am Amaka Daniels. Many thanks for watching.